Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Tabletop Archives. I'm Nick, and I'm bringing you today's Archive Dive. We've gone over the basics of Dungeons & Dragons, and we've covered some of its lore, so we're going to help you get up and running today by showing you how to make a character for the game. Quick pause. Please remember to like this video and leave a comment. And if you like the content you're seeing, subscribe maybe. Hit that bell, smash it up, and get notifications about when our latest content comes out. Thanks, we really appreciate it. When you get started, the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, what do I want to play? And I mean that, what race do you want to play? In the PHP, it gives you the option of being a Dragonborn, a Dwarf, an Elf, a Gnome, a Half-Elf, a Half-Orc, a Halfling. Halflings aren't actually half anything, they're just full-blooded halflings. They're just half the size of people, so halflings. Human or Tiefling. Some of these races will then ask you to pick a sub-race, and it's important to know that when you pick a sub-race, you get all of the benefits of being the base race, as well as the sub-race. Your race is going to give you ability bonuses, which you should just take note of. For example, base humans get +1 to every ability score, elves get +2 to dexterity, halflings also get +2 to dexterity. And dwarves get +2 constitution, for example. In addition to this, your race is also going to give you some languages and some features which you should take note of and record. Once you've picked your race, it's time to pick your class. Now, this is like your adventuring skill set. You might be a mighty barbarian, or you might be a cunning warlock who literally made a deal with the devil. There are 12 classes that you can pick from in the player's handbook, and each of these 12 classes has several archetypes that you get to build into as you grow. Your class is going to tell you what hit die you get, and this is how much HP you get to roll per level. At level 1, though, when you're first making your character, you get the maximum value of this hit dice, plus your Constitution ability score modifier. Don't worry about that, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. In addition to your hit die, your class tells you what all your starting proficiencies are. These are proficiencies for your armor, which is what kind of armor you can wear without penalty, your weapon, which is what kind of weapons you can wield and add your proficiency modifier to, your skills, which is what kind of ability checks you get to add your proficiency modifier to, and your saving throws, which is what saving throws, when you make them, you get to add your proficiency modifier to. Your proficiency modifier is something that every character gets, and it increases as you level up. It increases with your overall level, not just your class level, and at level 1 it starts off at +2. Whenever you're proficient in a skill, you just mark that on the character sheet, and that just means that you get your ability score modifier, plus your proficiency modifier. We talk more about this concept in my video on the basics of Dungeons & Dragons, which you should be able to find right here. Yeah. Your class determines a lot of things, and in Section 3 of the Player's Handbook, each separate class has all of these detailed, so don't worry, you can always go back and look for more detail in the book. Next, we're going to talk about our ability scores. Strength is generally how brawny you are, dexterity is your poise and your finesse, Constitution is how tough you are. Do not dump Constitution, it determines your hit points. Unless you have a crazy death wish or you're going for hard mode. Intelligence is how smart you are. Wisdom is your ability to perceive things, both insightfully and actual physical awareness. And charisma is your social stat. There are 3 main ways to determine what your actual ability scores are. The first 2 don't involve rolling any dice at all, and they're pretty simple. The first one is your standard array. For the standard array, you get 6 numbers, a 15, a 14, a 13, a 12, a 10, and an 8. You get to assign these however you want amongst your stats. The second way that doesn't involve rolling dice is point buy. You're allotted 27 points, and there's a chart in the player's handbook that tells you how many points it costs to buy what numbers, and then you get to assign those numbers to your abilities. When you've run out of points, you're done. If you're looking to have a more even power level amongst your party where it's moderated that everybody starts at the same place, definitely consider going this route. Standard array and point buy will make characters that are even in power level starting off. Nobody will, by chance, be more powerful than someone else. But personally, I love rolling dice, so I always roll for it. You roll 46, you drop the lowest value, and you add up the remaining 3 dice. Do this 6 times and distribute these amongst your ability scores. And frankly, I think a lot of people roll dice more than they use the standard array or the point buy, unless you're playing in an adventurer's league. Let us know in the comments below how you guys generate your characters. Make sure to establish with your DM any rules that you might have about rolling your dice. I know that I've done in my campaigns, if you don't have anything that's above a 14, you can re-roll. Now, you might be asking what these numbers mean. Effectively, a 10 is about the average range for a commoner, and every 2 points above 10 or 2 points below 10, your ability score modifier goes up or down by 1. Once you've written down the ability scores that you've rolled, go ahead and figure out what your ability score modifiers are, write those down, and then you can calculate out your saving throws, your attack modifiers, and your skill checks from there. And finally we do, PHB says, everything else, which is super not helpful for figuring out how you actually write it down, so I'm going to help walk you through it. We're going to jump on over to Chapter 4 in the Player's Handbook and investigate backgrounds. Backgrounds basically talk about who you were before you were an adventurer. They give you a couple of proficiencies and skills. They might give you some extra equipment. They might give you languages. They all give you a feature. If at any point you receive a proficiency from your background that you already have, you can just pick another proficiency of the same type, i.e. you can get a tool proficiency for a tool proficiency or a skill proficiency for a skill proficiency. When you're picking your background, start thinking about who your character is. You can see where they've come from, so start thinking about what their backstory is. Maybe why they're adventuring. What are their personality traits? What do they hold dear to them? Do they have any other people or anybody that they're close with, an establishment that they like? Maybe what's wrong with them? Do they have any vices, or do they have any weaknesses? Surprise! Ideals, bonds, and flaws. Personality traits. This is where you just flesh out your character. You can check these out in Chapter 4. They give you a couple of hooks and ideas that you can pick from, tables that you can roll on if you don't really have any concept yourself of what you're doing, and you just want to fill something in for a quick character to play. But if you want to go ahead and make these yourself, do it. This is your time to make the character your own and actually build the character. So there you go. That's everything you need to know to get a level 1 character ready to play at your table. Hopefully you all feel prepped and ready to start and ready to dive into character creation yourself. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time in the archives.